Welcome to another exciting episode of the Prep and Defend Show. Today, we're going to be sharing about how you can maximize your strength gains through periodized fitness training. So what we're going to be talking about today is what is periodized fitness and what are the benefits of doing this type of training, how you can implement periodized fitness into your unique and personal lifestyle, some common mistakes that you should avoid, and I'm going to see what you guys think and if you guys have tried this and what kind of success you have had with doing this type of training. So first of all, what are these gains that you speak of, right? So when we're talking about gains on this show, we're talking about strength gains and muscle gains. And with those type of gains comes gains in confidence and authority. And that's just the way it is because we are meant to master our physical environments, right? So we're not meant to just be pushed around by everything around us, by life. When you have an athletic physique, when you are gaining and building strength and continuing to improve as a person, that self-confidence and what you are showing everybody else around you is that you have mastery in your own personal program and your plan. When you are out of shape, when you are content with just maybe years in the past being the best that you could ever be, you're not interested any longer in improving yourself or putting in work to make strength gains, muscle gains, maintain your physique, have a healthy lifestyle. You're kind of putting off this vibe that you are kind of a reactive person. You just take things as they come. You are just surviving, but pursuing those gains means you're a person who likes to push back against all these other stresses and things that we have in life. So enough fitness philosophy and talking about sizing each other up as we do. I mean, that's a little bit of psychology, right? It's like, again, your physical fitness, how you carry yourself. It's kind of how we say something about ourselves without saying anything, right? Well, first of all, what is periodized fitness? So what is a periodized fitness plan? It is a long-term, methodical, and purposeful approach to your fitness. It means that you have goals that you have determined to be important to you, whether those be, like we're talking about on this episode, to gain strength, to gain muscle, and now you are actually going to come up with a plan to execute that. If you're not going to let it happen by accident, and you're not just going to go off and perform a program that has nothing to do with building strength, or as I said, is pretty random and maybe is just working out. A periodized fitness plan is a workout plan that is over a period of time. And that is typically, as I recommend in all of the programming that I have done for the last several years, is 90-day programs. So 3 months. We are taking a 3-month approach to our fitness. We are planning every workout meticulously, every month, every week, every session. Every portion of that workout is structured around moving you toward the goal that you're pursuing, whatever that may be. So I can tell you that myself, I started on this about 6 years ago. I was a foreman at a wildland fire crew, and I had been doing CrossFit for about 10 years. And there was other athletes, workers there, and ourselves. We did the CrossFit workout of the day. We did that every day that it was programmed, in addition to our trail running, our hiking, our work projects that we do as a part of a wildland fire crew. Well, anyway, bottom line, as we would test ourselves only rarely when it would come to some type of a strength test. You know, on CrossFit, there's these prescribed weights. It'll tell you you need to squat this much for this workout. That's prescribed. And of course, everybody being as they are with egos and everything else, you're trying to do the prescribed weight that it recommends. And after several years of doing this, I started realizing after 10 years of doing this type of programming, while it was very good, it taught me to be competitive, and I learned a ton of new skills, and it really ignited my passion and interest in fitness. It reignited that. I should have been a lot stronger than I was. So after 10 years, I was noticing that I really wasn't progressing. I was plateauing. And when I started to ask other people why, I had some even talented people on crew with some fitness and kinesiology degrees and background, and that knew a lot more on the topic than me. And I started researching, taking courses online regarding strength. I realized that, well, no wonder I wasn't getting any stronger. It was because I hadn't been training for strength as my purpose. So why would I expect any amazing strength results when I'm hitting random workouts that are for a variety of different reasons and skills and kind of spreading myself really thin? I realized that if I wanted to get strong, I had to have a plan and a program and take a periodized approach to my fitness. And of course, the amazing and the exciting thing is that when I applied these principles to my own personal program and to that of our team, well, of course, we got stronger over a period of 90 days. Based on the principles that I'm going to show you here on this podcast, you can apply these to your training, and I have no doubt that you would experience similar results. Let's talk about the benefits of this type of training. What are the benefits of periodized training? Isn't it enough for me to just be working out? As I said, I had been doing CrossFit for 10 years. Shouldn't that be enough if I follow the principles and I'm dedicated and I perform the workouts? Shouldn't I be able to see long-term results continuously over time? Well, that's not always the case, because as I said, if you're taking a random approach, you can expect random results. And I'm sure you guys may have seen my favorite quote, rookies do random and pros have a plan. Here's some reason why you need to move on from being a rookie and start approaching your fitness and your long-term performance with a plan like a pro. There are a ton of reasons why you should be doing periodized fitness programming. It is used just about universally in professional athletes and collegiate athletes. It is a way for any athlete to get from where they are to where they want to be. It is a plan, it is a program, and they set specific goals that are measurable, and they pick a time frame to improve that. So there are so many reasons, as I said, to do this type of training, but I boiled it down to my top 5 reasons why I think you should implement this in your training. And this is what I have found very helpful, and I think these would help you as well. First of all, it optimizes adaptation. So it gives your body the optimal chance, the maximum chance to be able to make the adaptations you're demanding of it. If you're looking to build strength, well, you are going to place that stimulus on your body. You're going to be training strength on purpose by using proven methods and principles done safely with the adequate intensity, the correct number of reps, the correct percentage and load that you would need. And we're doing that over time, again, safely, responsibly, because we have a plan. We know we have 3 months, so we don't have to do it all in one day. We are slowly building and progressing, doing it safely and doing it long term. Of course, if you're training for a specific result and you are using your SMART training principles, then you will have the physiological adaptations that you're looking for, the muscular adaptation, increase in strength, and the neurological adaptations. You are used to that type of stress. Your skeletal system is getting used to that kind of stress. Having a plan and a purpose for your fitness is you're going to get the most optimal adaptation that you're looking for. Another major benefit that I found from doing this type of training was it reduces your burnout and your boredom. By following the same training routine for an extended period of time, you can sometimes get bored. I know the first time that I started doing some of these periodized programs, week 1 would be identical to week 2. Week 2 would just be a little bit more loading and heavier. And then week 3 would be a little bit heavier than that, but it was the same workout week after week. Of course, you are going to see some physical adaptations that you're looking for on that, but sometimes you can get a little bit bored. And so what I really like about cycling through these different periods, this periodized plan to the fitness, and I take a year-round fitness approach based on fire season because that is my lifestyle. That is what I am training for. And I love it because I get to train strength focused for 3 months. And then and then after that, I will be training for power development. And then 3 months after that, I'm focusing on a little bit more work capacity and work hardening and endurance. And then in the summertime, I back off of the loading and work on some body weight movements that I want to get better at, some kettlebell work, some rubber band work. So for me, having a periodized, long-term periodized plan, not just 3 months, but even a whole year of periodized training plans, it really staves off boredom for me, because if I were to do the same workout back to back to back, it would get a little bit mundane for me and boredom, and I would not be able to do something like that for 5-6 years in a row. But I can tell you, on a 12-month program, I have been doing the same cycle for 6 years now. And every 3 months, I am excited about starting the next program. So that's a way that you can use periodized training to keep it spicy for you and to be able to change it up. So in summary there, periodization introduces a variety of different exercises, making the training process more engaging and enjoyable. And notice I said variety, but I didn't say random. Once again, on a periodized program, all of your training is for a specific plan and a purpose. And so it's not just a willy-nilly random, whatever looks cool for that day. The third great reason for you to implement periodized training as part of your program is increased strength, right? That this episode is all about how you can build strength using a periodized approach. And so how is it going to help you build strength? Well, it typically involves phases. We use progressive overload. That means we are progressively, over a period of time, 3 months, we're going to be progressively increasing the load from where we started at the beginning to where we're at the end. So we don't need to jump up 20 pounds in 1 week, because we are progressively building. We are letting our bodies adapt to the stimulus that we're putting on it by increasing the load each week. And by the end of the program, we should be seeing a strength gain. Increasing strength is probably one of the number one reasons to jump on a periodized training program. It's not the only reason. Another reason number 4, why you would want to jump on to a periodized training program is for your long-term sustainability and your injury resilience. One of the things I learned when I first started implementing periodized training in my programs was these deload weeks. These every month we would take a week and kind of back off the throttle and the intensity. And while at first it was really difficult for me to do that when I was used to just running, pedal to the metal, grip it and rip it every day when I was working out, I found I would recover in a week, still working out, but just less intensity, less volume, maybe working on some skills or some accessories that I didn't get to get in the weeks prior. But by the end of that week, I was like licking my chops, waiting for the intensity and the heavy weights. I was feeling recharged physically and mentally. And also, because we are taking a long-term approach to our fitness, we have a better resilience to injuries as well. We're not trying to ego lift. We are realizing we are where we are at the beginning of the program. That is our current strength level. And then based on that strength, we're going to be using percentage-based loading. So 85%, 75%. Again, we're following formulas and principles that will progressively increase the load over time. So I have found that keeps you from biting off more than you can chew. And I've noticed that even with inexperienced lifters and people that haven't been athletes for a long time, that it staves off injuries in the long run. And then the fifth reason why I think you would love periodized training as part of your life, if you're not using it yet, is kind of, they call it like sport-specific training, or tailoring it for your specific lifestyle. And again, that's what I have applied periodized training programming to my style of life as a firefighter. And we do have a wildland fire season. As I just talk about again and again, this is my thing, is this year-round approach to my fitness. I'm going to focus on strength and follow strength training principles as I develop that in the fall, so that in the winter, into early spring, I'm going to start developing some power with that strength, so that in the preseason before summer, I am increasing my work capacity, working a little bit more on endurance now that I have a strong foundation and a strong and powerful base to my fitness. And in the summertime, when it's really busy with family vacations, with the fire season, and it maybe is a lot more difficult to get your typical strength training workouts in the summertime, I like to use things I can travel with well, like a kettlebell, rubber bands, body weight. And I enjoy doing that for 3 months. And then here we are right back at the beginning when it's time to jump back on the barbell and looking for chasing those strength gains again. So that is a way that I have taken periodized training and applied it to my specific sport, my specific lifestyle. And I want you to think about how you would apply periodized training to your lifestyle. What is unique about your own individual lifestyle in which you know that you need in a certain time of year to be focusing more on strength? And maybe in a certain other time of the year, you might focus on something like muscle building, such as hypertrophy, or perhaps you're somebody who likes to do endurance races, or you participate in that and you have something you need to build endurance for, so you would complete a periodized plan that's going to move you in that direction for that time of year. So sport-specific training and tailoring it to your own lifestyle is another huge benefit to doing periodized programming. All right, so by this point, you're probably saying, all right, yeah, you've been beating me over the head with this. That's fine. How would I implement something like this if I wanted to do it? Once again, if you want to gain strength and muscle, the periodized approach is going to be the best way for you to do that. How do you do that? Well, the first thing you need to do is figure out what your goal is. So that's square one. What is your goal? Is it to gain strength? Is it to gain muscle, such as hypertrophy? Are you trying to increase your work capacity and your endurance? So once you have a goal, that is going to dictate the type of training that you're going to be doing. So once you have a goal, the next thing you need to figure out is, what is your time frame? How long do you have to meet that goal? I know that sometimes in my training as a coach, I will get people that are getting ready for a fire academy, or they have some test or something come up, some kind of a fitness test or a race, and they want to get ready, but they haven't really been preparing. And so they don't have a lot of time, like a month or less. So you can only expect a certain amount of results. You need to be realistic with your training. Give yourself some lead time. Try not to make an event or a job or something that you need to perform well at as the reason that you're going to start doing this type of training. Start it ahead of time, any time in your life. But you need to have a time frame, and I like to set this time frame of 3-month programs. As I said, 90-day workout cycles. And I take a year-long approach to the fitness of the fire season. So that's plenty of a time frame there. So again, that's your personal, what personal factors do you have that are going to affect your ability to pull this off? You can have a well-written plan, but if you don't have the equipment or the means to pull it off, it is going to do nothing but be some good reading for you. So make sure that you have that established. What's your goals? What's your time frame? And what are your personal factors or preferences that are you need to get dialed in, or you need to help select a program that's going to make you be successful. So if your goal is to gain strength, you're going to want to focus on probably the core lifts. So those core lifts are going to be in powerlifting. The core lifts are going to be your back squat, your deadlift, and pressing, whether that's the bench press or the strict overhead press. That is the strength training that I do when I'm training strength. A lot of power lifters that swear by training strength and strength only, you're going to see them doing those lifts. So you need to pick your core lifts. If you are trying to improve and get stronger on some Olympic lifts, like maybe CrossFit is your thing, and you're doing snatches or clean and jerks, those are the Olympic lifts. You're going to need to make sure that your periodized plan is planned for you to improve on those core lifts. So you're going to be getting healthy doses of those core lifts each week. And then, as I said, so now you know the time frame you have your goal set. You've decided which lifts and which exercises you're going to work to improve on. Now you need to implement progressive overload into your training. Now, this principle, as I said, is increasing the load over time. Week 1 is where you start on lower percentages, probably in that 65-75% range, higher reps. And as you progress through the program and through the weeks, you will increase the weight to a higher percentage, all the way up into maybe even 90-95% on an extremely experienced person will be lifting that. but you will work your way up, progressing your load over time, and that's called progressive overload. Of course, when you're increasing the loading, you'll be decreasing the reps. So that's basically the overarching principle behind progressive overload, and that's how this programmed and planned approach is going to help get you stronger. At the end of 3 months, you'll be stronger than when you started. It may be 20 pounds. It could be even more than that. If you're a brand new person to lifting, you're gaining a lot in technique and skill, and you're also gaining some strength. While you've been an experienced lifter for a long period of time, some of those strength gains are going to be harder to come by, but you can still expect anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 pounds per cycle. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you continue to stack these back to back to back over time, you can expect, and you should expect, to increase your strength perpetually as you continue to gain experience and strength, even as you age. So remember, it takes time. This takes time because we are talking about your muscles grow and get stimulated by the time under tension that you place them under. We are intentionally dosing the intensity and the time under tension using this overload principle. So these physiological adaptations are going to take place, in our muscles, in our skeleton, and our ability to support loads and our ability to move those heavy loads will be improved because we've been exposing ourselves to that repeatedly in a responsible and safe way over time. So what kind of methods can you use? I was talking about reps, I was talking about sets and percentages. Well, there's some great resources out there. Of course, some of the most well-known would be Westside Barbell. They're known for training and coaching for years, kind of being the gold standard when it comes to powerlifting. Also, another popular format for progressive overload as part of a periodized program would be Wendler 531. I'm even seeing some CrossFit gyms and other training methodologies incorporate his training programs as part of their strength training regimen for their athletes. And then what I did was through Garage Gym Athlete, I really liked one man, one barbell, because I was looking for something that wasn't just so exclusive to strength. I needed to stay conditioned and be well conditioned as a firefighter. And I applied that for years, and then I even tweaked it over time, and it kind of became what I call like the prep and defend method. I had to simplify it, make it even easier for us to calculate, and to make sure that the loading and the dosing was appropriate for us to gain strength, but still be able to answer the call of duty whenever that bell goes off and not be too smoked to be able to handle our business on an emergency response or a fire or our daily work duties, which is really our primary mission, right? What would I advise you to do as you pick a program? Well, remember, make sure that you are clear on your goal. You're giving yourself enough time to achieve that goal. You are applying the principle of progressive overload, and you are selecting a proven and studied weight training regimen with percentages and loading that has been proven, and you can apply that to your training. And remember, I cannot stress enough that it is for every individual. Of course, your results will vary, but remember that your lifestyle is not like anybody else's. And so there may be some tweaks and some things you need to adjust and change to make it able for you to be consistent and for you to get the results that you need. And now I want to talk about some things to watch out for, some common mistakes that can be made, even when you're following a great plan, such as a periodized training plan and a program. What are some pitfalls or some things that I've seen you need to watch out for? The first one would be going too heavy too early. It's really easy when you're training strength to do some ego lifting, right? Especially if you're in an environment with other people, you are competitive with other people, you want to see what you're capable of. So in that environment, you just have to be very careful to not get injured. Of course, the point is to get stronger over time. It's not to get injured and try to recover and get back to where you were after you're able to start hitting it again when you get healed up. So remember to not go too heavy too early. And in fact, when we are establishing baselines before we actually start the program, we need to know how strong we are so that we can, again, dial in those percentages and how much of our loading we're doing based on how strong we currently are. I don't recommend that newer athletes and people maybe that are even getting older, they just don't want to worry about getting injured. They're not so concerned about the actual numbers. They're not trying to PR or get their personal record or their personal best. If you're trying to be smart about your training, I would not recommend anybody doing a 1 rep max test, especially if you earn your living based on your body, because that means you're doing a 1 rep max. You're saying, what is the most amount that I can do before my form breaks down or my body breaks down? And that's not a very safe way. That's not a very smart way to train. But one way that I have found successful, and you still need to be careful when doing any kind of lifting, but it would be working a 5 rep max. And I've talked about this before, but I recommend that you test yourself at your 5 rep max, because the amount of weight that you can move for 5 reps is going to be substantially less loading than you can do for just 1 rep on your 1 rep max. But you can still use the calculators, and I've been checking them every time I do a 5 rep max. I'll kind of continue sometimes, being somebody who's been doing it for a little bit longer. I'll continue up to a 2 rep or even a 1 rep max if I'm feeling good that day. And I will see what I was able to perform on that 1 rep max. And I will calculate my 5 rep max using it to determine my estimated 1 rep max. So that's how these things work. And the app that I use, and I use for my workout programs, Train Heroic, if you put in your whatever rep max, your 5 rep, 2 rep, 3 rep max, it's going to calculate your estimated 1 rep max. And what I have found is that when I actually perform the test and when I calculate it, those numbers are pretty much dead on. That's very accurate, and it is a great starting point for you when you're doing the whole program. So I recommend that everybody does their 5 rep test, calculate your estimated 1 rep max, and then you'll be able to figure out how much you need to lift throughout your program. So be careful. Don't go too heavy too early. No ego lifting, and then also unrealistic expectations. I think that that is another problem that I see, is especially when people were formerly athletes, maybe in college, or it's been some time, and they're ready to get back on the ball. They're ready to push back, as I said, on their training. They want to get back into it. Well, they think in their mind that they're still the same guy they were years ago. And so they're trying to do the same type of performance, the same type of weights. And that's probably not going to happen, and not without getting hurt. So that's another problem that I see. So you need to remain humble, be realistic. Don't have unrealistic expectations of what you can do and what you're capable of. And remember that this is a long-term approach. Where you're at is where you're at, but you're going to improve. And then the last thing I would mention as a pitfall or something to watch out for, an error, would be not following through on the consistency. As I said, if you have a great program, it doesn't matter if you're not doing it. I tell people all the time, the best workout program is the one that you're actually going to do. Somebody can write you the most perfect program down to the perfect percentages and reps and sets. It doesn't mean anything if you don't do it, right? So that's what I have seen is people not following through and being consistent when they first jump on to a program like this. Because all of us, whether we've been working out in the gym or like this garage gym type setting, or working out in fire stations or outdoors like I do often, it's pretty common that you're going to be out there, you're telling someone take it easy, they're pushing themselves, and then 1 rep they're good, and the next rep they are not. Something tweaked, something pulled. I have had it happen to me, and sometimes that's just part of being an athlete. That's a part of trying to improve. Is we do have bodies, they're very complex, and even when you're trying to be safe, we always run the risk of some type of tweak or pull. And I've had that lots of times where, maybe you're trying to hold in a fart or something and it jacks up your deadlift. That happened to me. I'm pretty sure. And so you tweak your back, something else happens. It's silly. But again, you just got to be careful and give yourself some grace and keep those realistic expectations. So now, if you've listened to this podcast, if you're hearing this message, I want you to let me know if you have done some periodized program and what your experience has been. Is what I'm saying completely false, or has it rung true on some of the training that you've done? If you've done any periodized training, I would love to know about it and hear about it. What we're doing here with this channel is helping others improve their performance and their attitude, and you actually have a ton to offer. I know a lot of you are leaders in your space, and I'd appreciate some comments, some feedback, and let us know, and we'll get the conversation going on how we can apply this better to our individual lives, what's working for you and what hasn't. So let's recap a little bit. We talked about what periodized training is and how it is the absolute key for you to gain strength, to gain muscle. We talked about the ways that you can implement it into your own personal life, some of the problems and pitfalls that you should really be watching out for. And most of all, I want you to realize that your fitness journey is a long-term plan and a process. And so take that long-term, take that responsible and professional approach to your fitness, continue to set goals that are attainable and realistic, and continue to meet those goals. Do not settle for staying where you're at. And whether you are an absolute fitness enthusiast like me, or maybe you're just a beginner, you'll definitely be supercharging your workouts and getting those gains you're looking for through implementing periodized training to your unique lifestyle. Well, I really thank you for tuning in. I'd appreciate it if you let me know if this is good and you're appreciating this content. Let me know here on this channel and on any of my other channels. I appreciate you guys. And remember that I am putting this content out for you guys as we dive deep into the world of fitness and attitudes. And if you're looking to maximize your gains, break through plateaus, and achieve long-term fitness success, then this episode was definitely a must listen. Please hit that like button, subscribe for more engaging content, and share this with your fitness buddies. And let's go get those gains together. I'll see you on the next episode.